It is Experimental Eel Radio. I am your host, Mike O'Toole, profiling my weird folks in my weird world here in New England. It's the DIY arts thing. We're a starving artist, and the next guy I'm going to talk to, he knows all about that. He is John Hartman, man. He's a filmmaker and a world traveler. He's the guy behind Reel Groovy Films, REEL. And
hello.
Can you crack the mic there? There you go.
Hello.
We're talking about RetroTube. That's your VHS and old school television tribute. The web series that's out there, right?
Yes.
So that's the latest thing.
Yes.
And you make a lot of films. I know counterculture is a big thing.
Yes.
Right.
I want to hold my camera now, Mike.
I was going to say, is that the...
Bring it to me.
You had sort of, I think, had attempted more of a typical Hollywood trajectory or something, and then I think found it not to be.
No,
you know,
no, not really. As an actor, yeah.
Well, right. That's what I was trying to like.
That was back in 91,
right.
92. I was an actor. I was never a filmmaker back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my head was at. But I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I was a victim.
To call you just a filmmaker is sort of a disservice almost, because it is such a whole. You're like this, like you say, it's kind of curator of. You sort of set things into motion, and then weird things just sort of happen.
Yeah. You could say that. You could say that sometimes the filmmaking takes a back seat to the experience. For me, filmmaking is first and foremost, but a lot of the people that I work with, they support me because it's so much fun and it's exciting, and I feel blessed to have had all that support. It's been quite a ride, but I kind of feel like it's time to downsize quite a bit because there's a lot of stress involved in doing what I do. And I feel like my life is spiraling out of control.
In terms of the films, or in terms of the lifestyle, or both?
No,
or
both. Yeah. They're married together.
Uh-huh.
I mean, filmmaking is all-consuming. Everything takes a back seat. I feel like I need to pick up my life where I left it off 12 and a half years ago and pursue some of the things which I no longer have time to do, like reading, meditating, pencil art, ink art. I used to have gallery shows, and I don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I'd like to continue making films, but not the way I have been, because usually I'd say I probably have 3 or 4 shoots per month, and I'd rather have 3 or 4 shoots per year. Mm-hmm. And when I was living with Rod Weber, we lived together 10 weeks recently in Seattle. Man, we were shooting 3 or 4 times per week. And then I came out here. In the past 4 or 5 months, I've been, I hit the ground running out here. And that's another thing that I want to move on to is editing. Just because I don't plan on making a whole lot of films doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to stop releasing films.
Mm-hmm, because you have all that footage.
Man, I've got stock footage enough for the next 3 to 5 years. I could make experimental films for probably 10 years if I'd stretched it out. And there's about a dozen projects which I'd like to revisit and improve on. And there's a whole bunch of projects which I started and never finished. So I've got enough to do, and if I keep making films at the rate that I'm doing now, I will just get more and more backed up. And that's not fair to all the people that helped me with all those projects, which I haven't really touched yet or finished. And it's like a party. Every time we go out, it's like a party, and it's addicting. I feel like a film addict, which sounds weird, but I don't know how else to put it in other terms. Filmmaking is exciting because you get to get up on stage and do Q&A, and you've got film critics reviewing your work. Mm-hmm. You get to have your work reviewed in magazines and newspapers or radio shows. Mm-hmm. But by the same token, the most stressful thing is probably getting a certain amount of people at a certain place at a certain time. Mm-hmm. That is logistically very, very difficult to do. And I can't relax. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like an addiction.
Right, because you know that footage is sitting there, and then these people sort of expect it to come together.
Right.
Pig belly torture! Pig belly torture!
Because we talked kind of before the show, talking about karma and people who kind of come out of the shadows to help you out. And you talked about some of those people who helped with Reel Groovy Films.
Out of the shadows.
From out of the darkness.
I don't know about this
Strange figure emerges.
And now I feel like I'm way out there and I'm like this social butterfly, but it's not necessarily my nature to be like that. Because I'm a Pisces. Pisces, one fish goes this way, but the other fish goes that way. And now I'm trying to take that other fish and trying to take both fish and go this way. It's like, no, man. What about me?
All over the place.
I'm this other fish. I need a sabbatical. I need a retreat. I need to relax and step back from the whole thing. No, you can't, man, because you got to shoot tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, my God. Right. So it's crazy. It's nuts. It'll drive you nuts.
So you don't like, but is there a part of you?
Mike, I'm going nuts.
Well, I could have told you that. I mean.
No, I was already nuts before, but now I'm getting worse.
Like, wow, look at all these crazy personalities that somehow showed up in the same room. And,
it's awesome. And that's why it's addicting.
Right.
Whether it's good. I mean, look, I feel like I'm doing this largely as a psychological compensation for something that I lack in my life. And that's the way it was 12 and a half years ago. I was pretty reclusive. I mean, I was a teacher, but I lived in an RV in Denver. It was kind of a lonely life. And filmmaking filled in a lot of the gaps. And it was a device that...
to bring people into your world a little bit,
and to bring me into their world.
Right.
So I used it as a device to socialize. And I learned so much from filmmaking that otherwise I don't think I ever would learn. How to communicate with people and how to deal logistically with all of the unbelievable levels of necessity that go into filming. And those are back in the days when my film partner, Z Zarbach, was funding my stuff, and she was there as a PA. And honestly, if I didn't have to work and if I had a full-time PA, production assistant, I think I would keep making films for the rest of my life because the stress level back in the day wasn't as bad when Z was around, which clears up a lot of space for you to just think about the creative aspect. I can't afford that. I have to think about everything, and it blows your mind. And I get jazzed and I get excited, which is why I make such a good restaurant busser.
What does that mean?
I am just about the best busser I've ever seen.
Hey, like you just hop in and
dude, I used to have a rag holster. I made a rag holster.
He's like
leather.
Whipping out finger guns before and after he clears the table.
Pig belly torture! Pig belly torture!
But for at least 5 years now, I've been doing stuff pretty much on my own. A little bit of help here and there, but most people, they draw a blank when things aren't moving. They're just like, oh, I guess we're on schedule, but they have no idea that inside my head I'm like freaking out and I'm screaming,
because something isn't working right when the moving parts is not moving.
And that's why Z calls me the mad elf. There goes the mad elf freaking out, running around and
frenzied. So it's like an
going.
ADD and like an OCD thing.
It's like an ADHD / OCD thing. Yes, it is. It's compulsory. And it's hyperactive at the same time. That's not a bad analogy. I have to remember that. I was going to borrow that from you.
Yes, I'm no stranger to that type of thing.
So that's what happens. And Victor Has Been Shot has been a lot of fun. So that's the worst. That's the worst thing for me, man.
Because you just want to keep building off of it.
Yeah,
you don't want
because
it to end.
I mean, talk about a coke addiction, right? Victor Has Been Shot is something that has been gearing up for months, and Victor spoke to me about this and said, "Man, I'm really nervous because
he's a DJ, right, at the Attic in
he's a DJ,
Boston.
and
he wanted to act more. And
he does, and he's awesome. He's a great actor in my opinion, and he's a great natural
character
personality. And he said, "Look, I'm worried. I'm really nervous about doing Victor Has Been Shot because I've been thinking about it for months, and I'm excited." But I'm worried. And I said, Victor, I know exactly what you mean. I'm looking really forward to it, and I'm really happy about it, but I'm so nervous because all this investment from myself and from other people, what if it doesn't work out? What if it's stupid? What if it rains? What if the cops see us up there doing crazy stuff and they break up the party? All these things that come into your head make it feel like you're going to an audition or you're about to have a class presentation. You're
someone's judging you on.
You're a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
You're just a nervous wreck. After it's all over, it was so much fun. All you want to do is more. So that's what I've been doing. More and more and more. And I keep saying to myself, this is the last shoot. Oh, we don't need any more. And then it's like, no, wait, we got to do this one thing. Oh, no, it'll be better if we do that thing. This whole John Hartman's jazzed with another wild hair up his ass thing. You know, that's why I need to. That's why I need to stop myself, because
it just keeps building.
Right.
These great scenes.
If I don't stop myself, I really will be the mad elf. You know,
the mad scientist of
running around in a trash can goth robot outfit with a 12-pound VHS camera. You know, it's insane. And I also find myself getting sucked into that world that takes the easy way out and just does gore and cheese and sleaze. And I think it's a cheap shot to do a lot of that stuff. But God, it's fun. It's so much fun. It's so exciting. I have to tell you, I love Grindhouse films. Mm-hmm. As tasteless and cheesy and sleazy as that makes me, okay, whatever. But I love seeing that, you know, over-exaggerated kung fu moves and silliness and poor film quality. And I just love it because you can embrace your mistakes and you don't have to watch everything you do so much. You can really relax and just let your...
That sort of over-the-topness is part of the...
It's
genre,
it's part of the appeal because it makes filmmaking not only fun but much easier.
Pink belly for the good doctor.
Very torture. Very torture.
That really sexy, cheesy, wild, crazy, irresponsible stuff.
Right.
I'm a kid, you know. It's just,
a big kid. Hey, why don't you try? Do you think it's sort of to get to see how far those people will go, or to see?
No, it's just fun, man. Mm-hmm. That's basically, it's real simple. It's just getting dressed up and misbehaving. That's basically what it is, and you're recording it and you're making a film out of it. Now, I'm not saying that stuff is necessarily wrong for other filmmakers. What I am saying is it doesn't necessarily feel right for me. You have to know that you're planting seeds. You're
right. You put that out into the world.
Yeah, you put it. It's like a boomerang. You're throwing it out into the universe. It does its damage, or it does its positive stuff, and it comes back to you.
So you feel it's too much as far as the sleaze.
It's like playing with fire, and I just don't know if I'm on the right track anymore. So I'm slowing down.
But I think to put a positive spin on it too, some of the stuff I want to put out there, like on the podcast, or maybe kids or whatever who are trying to what's the deal? Like, how come he gets to be an artist, or you have the doubters or whatever. You know what I mean? The fact that that you have all these doubts and you get stressed out, but somehow you still found a way to still do something. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people would be like, oh, that's, they find an excuse because they get discouraged to do something new.
I'm not afraid of looking like an ass.
Yeah.
So I'm fearless for good or for bad, because sometimes I stick my foot right up my ass and I get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you some stuff I don't know. I wonder the earlier, before filmmaking, you mentioned the drawings and poetry and stuff. How early do you get into that stuff? Has that just always been with you? Or
I've been penciled and ink drawing forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the poetry, definitely after college.
Mm-hmm.
Writing in my journal is something I've been doing since 1999. When I went to my first rainbow gathering and when I went to Bulgaria for the first time. I don't really draw much anymore, but I definitely do a lot of writing.
Mm-hmm.
I still write a lot of scripts, even though I don't wind up using them so much. I've written a lot of stories. And the poetry, I've let that fall to the wayside almost entirely. And traveling, I still travel, but I'd like to go on very, very long sabbaticals. And that's what I tried to do, taking that 3-speed bicycle.
Tell me a little bit about that. Yeah, you got on your bike and then...
I had a horrible time, basically.
Didn't you? I saw that. Speaking of you making those videos, on YouTube, and you discovered a skate park, right? You escape in an abandoned sort of.
Yeah, in an abandoned warehouse, and that's the kind of thing that I dig. Exploration.
Yeah.
Is something which is very, very dear to me, whether it be through writing or art or filmmaking or meditation, and finding abandoned houses, especially houses which look like the people just left, and they expected to come back, but they never did.
So what's the story behind that? Right.
Well, I've run into 2 or 3 houses like that in my life. In Bulgaria, a lot more, because they leave the village house and they go to a city to earn a living, and circumstances are tougher in that country. Sometimes they never come back.
They never come back. They never
So
make it back.
I mean, maybe a friend of the family comes back, but they don't really touch too much. And you see the house falling into ruin, and there's Grandpa's hat and his jacket are still in the coat rack, right where they were before. And that's fascinating.
Do you see any relics like
absolutely, and it's a puzzle. It's like, what happened?
Things on the wall, kind of, or newspapers. What if you find a newspaper that's like, the last date that it was
absolutely
here?
Calendars, newspapers. I was the Super 8 Voyager.
So you filmed that stuff?
Yeah, I was basically trying to film wooden cover bridges with a Super 8 camera, because technically I really am the bridge crusader. That's what I like doing in New England. I love more than anything the cover bridges. And 15 years ago, I was hitchhiking through New England and sketching the bridges and writing about the bridges and stuff like that. And I would like to do more things of that nature without taking a camera, just going out the way I used to. A little journal so I can sketch stuff and write down my thoughts and not worry about the shot, getting the shot. I've got to capture this bridge.
Pink belly torture.
And in the 70s and probably the first half of the 80s, people didn't have cell phones.
Right. I was going to compare it to now. People with cell phones, they're too busy taking that next Instagram or Facebook photo than actually living in the moment.
That's right.
And that can be an OCD thing too.
When does it ever end? You're always going to be checking your status, and you're always going to be seeing what other people are doing. And if you don't have a cell phone, and especially one that takes video, and especially one that's connected to the internet to a very large degree, you're able to do creative things yourself. Back in the day, you didn't have to worry about getting a shot. Taking a photograph of something was something you did as an exception. It's not something that you did all the time.
Right. Here's a photo of a bowl of grapes, because look at the grapes I'm eating right now.
Right. Well, here's what I'm eating for lunch or whatever. And why do I have to go to Vermont to see a wooden cover bridge? Because I have to film it. Well, yeah, it's cool to film with the Super 8 camera. That's interesting. It's cool. But why can't I just go out and have a sabbatical and commune with nature without being connected in any way? And I tried to do that on the towpath 5 years ago with my bicycle. And I had much, much better success. I was out for 4 weeks on the towpath, and I was only on the internet, I think, maybe every 3 or 4 days, and not being stuck behind a monitor all the time. It just seems weird. It seems twisted somehow, like not just disturbing, really disturbing. To see people walking around in front of a monitor so much freaks me out pretty bad.
And you find yourself, and you catch yourself doing, went into Boston. I want to go and be around people, and then you find yourself, you get to the location, and then you're plugging in to charge your, device to look at the screen again.
And in Bulgaria, in a village, you don't see a whole lot of this. You see people doing things that they did 10,000 years ago, like tending to the garden, and with their horses, and out there in the hayfield and stuff. And doing other things too, right? Where monitors are not welcome, and the outhouse,
no cameras,
and so forth. So it just seems more natural. And yes, I know these devices have helped us a great deal because of the information age is awesome. But the media abuses the type of stories that they focus on tend to be things which are not conducive to moving the planet forward and to ushering in world peace. Instead, it's, did O.J. kill the woman or not, man? Did Charlie Manson, 11 months trial on TV, the longest recorded trial in the history of television?
It was too juicy. We couldn't wrap it up, John.
So
you know what I mean?
It's like, come on, man. Are we really letting this happen?
Right. All these serial killers become famous icons,
Yeah, and people go out and kill because they know that that's how they're going to get on the map. Of course they're going to go out and be copycat killers and stuff like that. So
is doing something like Victor Has Been Shot. It's like you're big. It is sort of like a final commentary for a while. It's like that the media...
No. That's not what I'm going for. It just so happened that that's the last large production that I'm thinking to do. It might be that this time next month somebody says, "Hey man, here's $100,000.
Right.
Go out and make a film any way you want." Well, if I did that, I would do it in a very different way. I would take my time with it. I wouldn't just I wouldn't allow that big giant hair to get shoved up my ass. It takes me spiraling off into outer
Let's do
space.
this.
And God knows where we're going to wind up in Alpha Centauri or, landing on Pluto. Who knows? So, but I need to step back before I think that's going to happen, and try to assess what it is that needs to be done as opposed to what I want to do.